Hari Om, I am Marcis Gasūns. I've done my PhD in Moscow in 2014 in Russian Institute of Linguistics, Russian Society, Russian Academy of Sciences. In 2004 I established the Sanskrit Zealot Society. So for the last 20 years I've been teaching Sanskrit, printing Sanskrit, learning Sanskrit, and so we are the biggest Russian Sanskrit speaking community. So right now we have like 350 students, which might be more than all the students in all the universities in the world studying Sanskrit right now. My main field of interest is the dictionaries, digital dictionaries of Sanskrit, and not only digital. So in the last years I've printed around 20 books on Sanskrit in Russian, and like 5 of them were dictionaries. So we combine the printed books and the digital corpora. We develop the corpora, we develop the digital dictionaries at Cologne, and still we print the books. We believe that those two approaches should be united, that books are not dead, and digital is not the only solution. So both should come together. So I'm from an academic background, but I teach to the people who are actually like housewife, and I believe that that's the future, that we should not be arrogant, we should not try to leave Sanskrit for the noble, for the rich. It should be easy to grasp. So that means there is no place for arrogance if you deal with Sanskrit. So the Sanskrit Zealot Society means that we are like free, like mercenaries. I mean a community of people whose the only thing in common we have that we speak Russian language, and we love Sanskrit. That means that some might learn it for like a year or two, but there are students who are already there for like 10 years. So that's like a zealots kind of thing. So it's all about enthusiasm. So we don't get paid for it, and we do invest a lot of money to spread the message in Russia, in the Russian-speaking countries, which is like a rather huge audience actually. So the corpora, the parallel corpora, I've been working since 2013. It contains German and English, and some French texts are there, but it's mostly Russian. So we want to show the world that the history of Russian Indology did not end in the middle of 19th century, because the biggest Sanskrit dictionaries in the world have been printed in St. Petersburg. So the biggest dictionaries up to date have been printed in Russian Empire. So now we should revive the glory of the Sanskrit lexicography, and like 200 years after, we should show that Moscow is the center of the Sanskrit studies for the upcoming 200 years. So dictionary is a rather advanced level. So what we do is like we support a translation and publication of those texts that are more easy to grasp. I mean, like we are working on the Russian translation of the Ramayana, which means that people who are just interested in poetry or in the Indian literature, they could have grasp a sense of what Indian literature is about. So we want to translate the Itihasas into Russian. That would be a way for people who are not even aware of what Sanskrit is, get in touch with the old Indian literature. So it's Ramayana from one side. We have spoken Sanskrit classes which are free for our admission. So that means it's not about money, it's about enthusiasm. So I spread my fire, so I got my fire from my scientific advisor Zalesniak. And the fire needs to burn, so I share my fire, and I see that it's burning higher than before, brighter than before. So it means, if people don't see the love in my eyes, how can I teach them? So if they don't, they walk away. If they see me once, they can't get away. So the idea is just to get an eye contact with them once, and then it's done. I mean, my work is just use some magnetism. So I thought that it's time we announce that we are working on a creation of an Institute of Indological Sanskrit Studies in Moscow, that we want to submit a proposal that in 2030 we would want to make the World Sanskrit Conference in Moscow. So that means I want to show that there are not only people who study Sanskrit in Russia, but they are young enough. There are plenty of them, that it's not only in Europe or US or India, that the Russian branch of the Sanskrit studies is as good as it was in the old days, and that we are ready to accept guests from the world and show the glorious history of Russian Empire and the bright future of how we study Sanskrit in Russia.